Thank you.
تفضلوا إذا في أحد حتى لو يبغى يسأل باللغة العربية بإمكانه يسأل وحنقوم بالترجمة أو حيستمع للترجمة بشكل فوري. Do you have any questions?
Going once, going twice.
Going twice. Okay, we have a question there.
محمد غزواني، أرامكو السعودية. سؤالي هو ما مدى أهمية تحقيق في النير مس؟ هل لا يقل أهمية عن الانسيدنت نفسه أو الانجري؟ شكرا.
How do we compare the near miss? Yeah, very, very good question. And I think our experience was very typical of most organizations. We looked at some of the charts that were up today, and we were seeing a significant amount of near misses occurring. And really more than near misses, starting to pick up some fairly significant deficiencies in our electrical system based on our inspections. So we picked them up in the inspections before they became near misses, before they became incidents. So again, I think it speaks volumes to the tools that we have in our toolbox of inspections. Okay, so the question was around who in the organization determines training and frequency of training, and the last one was the behavior of employees? Okay. Behavioral issues within training? Okay, so again, as an integral component of the program, training, the types of training courses, the level to which we train, the frequencies were all determined by the Electrical Safety Steering Committee. So all of the business lines had input into training. We identified barriers to training. We shared training resources across business lines. We shared training resources across countries, from Canada to the United States. So I think a very important lesson learned and a great question. If you leave those types of discussions and decisions to the stakeholders to take up the line, it's a lot more effective than just deciding that. And on the issue around behavioral, we had an organization, I think, that was fairly proactive in recognizing positive behaviors. We had a senior management observation tour process in place where our senior managers would go around. They would identify good behaviors and far more better good behaviors than poor behaviors. Obviously, we focused the negative behaviors. We focused on areas of retraining and behavioral change, but was very, very much focused on the positive. And again, any of the incidents that we occurred, we've all been around long enough to know that those incidents are a result of systemic issues and are not a result of individual behaviors. Quite often, the behaviors contribute to that, but there's systemic breakdowns that allow those behaviors to exist. So if you go all the way back, that's where we focused our efforts, and I think it was fairly successful. You have one question over here.
Faris Al-Mgati from Saudi Electricity Company. My question is for a company and there is a department of around 300 employees, okay? Technicians, including technicians and engineers. What is the best way to train those employees? If we take in regard the cost, and what is the effective way to train all this huge number of employees?
Okay, last question, but a very good one. Training, my philosophy on training is that the best approach has always been to use a blended approach. Blended approach means doing some practical, hands-on type training when it's effective, and utilizing online training when it's effective. And if you can find the proper balance of those two to work through the challenges of logistics and budgets, that's typically the best approach. And so that's why we focused a lot of our awareness training on the online area, because we had a lot of people. Certainly, it wasn't a large company compared to some of the companies in Saudi Arabia, but the online training, giving people a specific period of time to complete a 7-hour course, and making sure that they were held accountable for those being completed.
Okay. My question is, do you think online courses for employee who works in power plant would be effective?
Yes, definitely. I think they are. But
what-
it all depends on the quality of the training. It all depends on how relevant it is to solving your particular issues. So if you have an online training course that is not well developed, that doesn't give the right message, it's not going to be effective. So you have to evaluate whether that type of training is going to meet the needs of your organization.
Even if those employees are working directly with equipment?
Yeah, so I'm talking about training outside of their vocational training. Our expectation was they would have the proper technical training to perform their tasks through their journey to their career. You know, becoming a qualified electrician, going through their apprentice process. This is where they would get their vocational training. Our training was strictly focused mainly on our particular hazards in our particular environment, and setting the expectations for safe work through that training.
Thank you, Roger, and the organizing committee wishes to thank you and give you an honorary plaque. Actually, I can see the photographer running. Can we wait for him? Thank you. Thank you indeed, Roger.